Welcome to Universal God Message of Peace, and this is our weekly Abrahamic dialogue. I'm Lee Weissman, and with Dr. Lali Tunser and Dr. Khalid Zaheer. And last week we talked about the topic of why do this? What's the point of this kind of interfaith discussion? And last week I held forth, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, I held forth. On the topic and talked a little bit in a more personal way about why it is I think that a person should do this and why I do this and what I think we get out of this. And now I pass the microphone over to Dr. Zaheer to share with us why he thinks we should do this. It's all you.
Thank you very much. I begin in the name of the God whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. When I think about this particular initiative or project that you're undergoing, there are certain things that come to my mind. Um, one of one of the things that I think of is it goes back to the basic question: why do we go for religion? At some point, honestly, I mean, even if you are born into one particular religious tradition, you do ask yourself, why is it that you're going for religion? I'm, well, to me, I'm sure to many people, the answer is that we want to come close to God. Uh, Apart from other ways, by also knowing His scheme properly as best as we can. When we when we begin to learn about God and in a meaningful way, trying to, as best as we can, internalize his his understanding of who he is, what are his attributes. One of the things that you are, always thinking of is that he is just and fair. Honestly, I cannot think of God. Allow me to say, I cannot believe in him unless I am perfectly convinced that he is absolutely just and fair. Uh, and the more I am able to appreciate it, the more it amazes me, and the more you know the feeling that God is great, it gets more pronounced and clear to me. Now, when that is true and it's absolutely true, then how is it possible that God could be biased? God would favor some people to the exclusion of, at the expense of other people. Uh, I mean, it's not possible for me to imagine. Um, but the fact of the matter is, and it's a very sad state of affairs that there are many religious people who want to create this false impression that my God is mine, he favors me, he thinks I am the best, and all others are no good. And what is the reason? What? Because I was born to a certain community, to a certain traditions, and bad luck, tough luck, others were born to different traditions, other traditions. So, you know, therefore they are doomed, and I'm going to succeed. I just cannot accept it, honestly. I could never have accepted it. And that is why I always felt that it really is extremely important that if we are interested in God, we should understand others and talk to others who love God equally, even if in a way which is different from ours. So, the idea of religious dialogue has always fascinated me, but I didn't get the kind of opportunity that I'm getting now before, to be able to actually feel that, God is everywhere and God is to be found in all traditions. So that's the one reason, I think I am involved in this process. Uh, Linked with this particular reason is another of my understanding that I've got from my religious tradition. I've I've taken from the Quran, the text I believe to be God's text, and that understanding is that, and it is absolutely clear to me that in God's scheme there are two different eras, two different categories of, call them situations. There is an era, there is a time when a prophet of God is present, physically present himself, delivering God's message and inviting others to believe in it, to embrace it, to follow it. And there are periods, there have been eras far longer in their duration than the first one, when there have been no prophets physically present. And there are people believing in those prophets and their messages and trying to follow and communicate the message to others. Now, what I understand is that when you are living at in an era when there is a prophet physically present, uh, and you are there in that geographical location, um, there is no chance that if you are a good person, uh, that you would be drawn away from him. You will not believe in him. You will not follow. There's no chance. It might happen later than sooner. That could be a possibility. But eventually, at the end of the day, it's not possible that a good person would stay away from the company of the prophet, from believing in him, from supporting him. And there is no chance that a person who is not good, who is evil, and people choose to become evil, they choose to take wrong decisions, uh, that they would ever be close to the prophets. But things change when the prophets are not there anymore, and there are mortals like us who are who are claiming to be believers. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it is that, um, you know somehow many religious people, people belonging to different religious traditions, in my very ordinary opinion, have gotten it wrong. Allow me to say seriously wrong, when they insist that we are absolutely right and others are absolutely wrong. A statement you will find in religious texts, a statement you would find in the Quran, but that you would be clear reading it in the context and the rest of the text uh, clearly telling you that it has got to do with the times of the prophets and no other times. I think one of the big tragedies that has happened is that religious people have not understood this all important, uh, you know, idea, concept. And as a result, there are people who think that they are somehow living in a particular prophet's time and they are the believers. And those who belong to other traditions, they are disbelievers, rejectors of truth, and therefore worthy of being rejected, you know, and and ignored, or well, rejected and looked at negatively. Now this has to be corrected. I mean, it has to be corrected. And when you go for understanding a religious tradition, uh, your religious tradition, and you want to internalize it, you can't afford to fool yourself. You have to be absolutely honest. And quite as much as you are reading the text, you should also look at other people. I mean, you should tell yourself honestly, these people are good people. They are devoted people. And if you want to accept the truth in its totality as much as you can, you've got to acknowledge that others are also good. And that is what I have always felt, but I feel it even more in this dialogue with somebody who doesn't belong to my tradition, and I find him uh, better than me in many ways. Honestly, I I'm enriched by the discussion that we have, and that is what takes me to the next point. That you know, there is this learning that's there that you have while talking to somebody who is looking at the same ideal from a different angle. The ideal of God, the ideal of this world having meanings, the ideal of an ultimate, you know, destiny of humankind. So, when we have been having these discussions, uh, there are many new uh, ideas, angles of looking at the same uh, ultimate truth that I have been able to benefit from. There are many examples. I mean, I remember I asked Rabbi Wiseman about um, how would you, given your background of staying in India and talking to many locals there, how would you explain and justify them believing in many gods? And he gave a very profound answer, which made me think. Talked about the fact that uh, you know God is you know far too bigger than to be merely interested in Him being worshipped. He knows that those who are looking for worshipping others are worshipping Him. They somehow got it wrong. And if there isn't, and this is my paraphrased understanding of what he
Mhm.
said. If they are good in their intentions, that they're actually, despite the mistake that they've committed, they're actually doing it with the same spirit. And I've always been worried about it, and obviously I'm still worried, but I'm sure that this is something which helped me in understanding that particular problem that I was always faced with from a new angle. So what I'm saying is that all along this discussion really has been greatly helpful. Another reason why I've been enjoying this discussion is that, to be honest, our world that we are living in is a troubled place. There's no doubt about it. And I think, let's face it, there is also no doubt about the fact that one of the reasons why our world is a troubled place is because of religious hatred. Mm. Religion that was meant to bring people close to Creator, to create love, sympathy, harmony, has somehow been used by many people to create the very opposite. And the end result is that we are living in a conflict prone world. Uh, and it is a big tragedy. The source, the inspiration that was meant to create peace, love, sympathy, has done the very opposite. And therefore, somehow the damage has to be repaired. There should be efforts, real, genuine efforts undertaken to correct this wrong that has happened. And I think, uh, you know, that is why I keep thinking that why should we not do more after this wonderful experience? And what is even worse to me personally is that because of these unnecessarily, you know, exaggerated versions of differences, there are many people in this world who are now averse to the very idea of religion. We talked about atheism, both of us, and I think we did agree to the fact that it's an idea, it's a way of thinking that has emerged simply because religion, formal religion, doesn't appear acceptable to many people. One of the reasons is that, religious people, they not just disagree with each other. There's nothing wrong with disagreements. I mean, it's something which helps in understanding and looking deeper into different concepts. They have turned into conflicts. People are killed, hundreds and thousands, uh, by believers in a text which says, and imagine, we both traditions share the same text. One person killed is as if the entire humankind is killed, and humankind is getting killed. So I think there's a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of those people who believe that religion is from God to show to the people that it indeed is from Him. And for that, I think the starting point is to to start begin to talk to each other, which is what we are doing, and we are enjoying it. Uh, Finally, I this point that I'm mentioning, I'm sure that I'll not present it in a way that I'm too emotional, but it always makes me emotional. I don't know whether you remember it or not. I've tried to find it out from some sources, but what I found was not completely in line with what I have in my memory. And I don't want to challenge my memory. Because there are certain things in your life that happen and you can't forget them. I'm sure it's something that happens to each one of us. There are certain moments that are so valuable, so important. They strike you so strongly, deeply, that you can't forget them. I cannot erase from my memory the statement of an American president, Bill Clinton. I think it was Camp David. It was Camp David. It wasn't. It wasn't Oslo. Uh, when he said to Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat, bringing them together. My goodness, I don't know where did he come up with this statement. Maybe there was somebody who wrote it for him, but it just shattered me. He said, asking the two leaders to come and shake hands, and he said, let the children of Ishmael and the children of Isaac, let them come together. Wow. Oh my goodness. I was shocked. I said, I mean, what a statement. And the two came together and they shook hands. Honestly, I still remember that. And it was really a very deeply emotional moment for me. Uh, you know, apart from the great Almighty God, there is a great servant of Him whom we have in common, Abraham. You
Mm.
know, there's only one man about whom the Quran says that he's God's friend. Quran says, وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. God made Abraham his friend. There is a hadith, it's one of my most favorite statements of the Prophet Muhammad. When when it says that there was a man who came to him and greeted him by saying, Assalamu alayka ya khair al bariya. Peace be on you, O the best of humankind, the best of all creatures. And the Prophet looked at him and he said, Zaka Ibrahim Khalilullah. You know, that was Ibrahim, the friend of Allah.
Hmm.
Uh, what I'm saying is that, we have a lot in common. And it's a shame that what is common is ignored and what divides us is highlighted. And the end result is that we are living in this world where, you know, unfortunately, religion has been made as a reason for people to strongly disagree. And what needs to be done is to correct this immense wrong that has been done. Okay, we don't agree on certain matters, so what? But I think we should still talk to each other because of so many common understandings that we have with each other. Uh, and let's keep talking about them. Let's keep celebrating uh, what we share with each other. And I'm sure that there's a lot that I've learned through these discussions, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot more. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zaheer. Wow, that was so beautiful. Thank you so, so much. I have to stop myself from crying again.
Oh, no, no crying. No crying.
Okay. So wow, I don't know what to say. That was so beautiful. What do you have any questions or comments that you want to share, Rabbi Wiseman?
Just I would call, I guess, affirmations. I love what you said, and this maybe is a good topic for us for the future. Is what is the difference between a time of revelation and a time when it's, when it's not, but also what does it mean for people's salvation? One of the questions comes up in my mind is, okay, so what about that Amazonian Indian, right? Who
Mm.
lives in the Amazonian Indian who can't be expected to have ever heard of the Prophet Muhammad, hasn't ever heard of the Prophet Moses, has never heard of, may never have heard of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, any of it, right? And so, like, what does that mean? What does that mean for that person? And what does it mean for God to be just? And can we justly say that such a person, is doomed? Maybe that's a topic for, that's a topic for us. It'd be an interesting topic. And one of the things you said that really struck me is I feel like religion sometimes asks us to kind of um, to curb our common sense about people. It's remarkable. I've had people say to me, wow, you're such a nice man. You're such a nice man. You're really nice, and I trust you, and you're great, and you seem to be so religious. I'm so sorry that you're going to hell. You know, and, and I was, and I do feel bad for them. I do feel bad for them, but I realize that they're fighting their own intuition. Their own intuition is telling them, this is a nice, a reasonably pious person, and but somehow or another I have fixed in my head that no matter what this person does, right, that they're going to go to hell. And they have to kind of fight their own because their common sense is telling them that can't be. And it goes many directions. I remember, there's a Jewish mystical text that says that talks about non-Jewish people and says that they don't have godly souls. Okay, so I remember reading this, and the person who was reading it was was kind of reading it as if it were fact, and I stopped them for a second. I said, "Does that strike you as true?" And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Like, okay, you interact all the time with people. Does it feel to you like they don't have godly souls?" He says, "Well, no, it feels to me like they do." I said, "Well, but this book says that they do." So it's like, are, okay, so you know, there's a way in which our kind of common, when we're fighting against our common sense, that should be a sign to us that something's not right, right? That should be a kind of that means that it requires a little bit of investigation. We need to kind of take a step back, and we have to say, okay, maybe something here is misunderstood. Maybe something here is not making sense, and we have to be able to say that not every religious teacher is right. That's not every religious teacher is right, and if that's how they understand it, then it's a wrong understanding because it's not. It's observably not true, right? It's observably not true. So. Um, And it's observably true, I meet virtuous people of all kinds, and I have to believe that God also sees them as virtuous. Um, and I agree also, it's especially, I mean, there is something very special about a Jewish-Muslim dialogue, precisely because it really is an Abrahamic dialogue, right? There are two refractions of, I think, what is a basic insight, that there's a there is I feel sometimes even in our conversations I can feel the character of Abraham in the conversations. I can feel, you know, it's funny, in there's a beautiful scene in the Torah where I've mentioned this before, where he's bargaining for, he wants to get a burial place for his wife, and uh, the local the local Canaanites, he goes to them and he says, "I want to buy this cave here. The cave is now, in Khalil, right? It's in Hebron." And he says, "I want to buy this cave." And they say, and he offers them money, which they eventually take. He insists they take the money because he wants to be fair. And they say, "No, no, no." He says, "You are a Nasi Elohim b'tochenu. You are a prince of God among us." Right? Not a prince of God over us, but a prince of God among us, right? And that to me was like, again, like the most beautiful compliment you could give somebody, right? That we see, right? We see a godliness in you that doesn't exclude us, right? That doesn't mean you're not lording it over us, but you're also with us. And to be the friend of God, and all of these things, th- that kind of essence, and to be able to see the two refractions of that essence as they kind of play out in these two traditions is really something that's, I think, very special, and helps just, as I said last week, helps me to see things better, and really, yeah, it's a really good thing. And lastly, you pointed out, and I think I didn't even mention this last week, which is really amazing, and that is that it's really like the world is a mess, and the mess is largely because of of what religious people are doing to each other and what they're encouraging other people to do to each other. And
Mm.
um, there has to be some beginning to stop that. There has to be, and one way of beginning it is to demonstrate how to reduce the animosity and how to know each other. And I think mostly animosity usually comes from people not knowing each other. Um, so that's all I have to say.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Rabbi Wiseman. Some great comments there. Dr. Zaheer, do you have any comments about Rabbi Wiseman's comments?
I feel that what he has suggested as topics are very important. I think let's do them. And he always makes you feel they that there's a lot of depth in what he says, and we can we can share with each other our insights, and I think enrich this dialogue, and hopefully help others also to be encouraged that we continue uh, with this effort. And I'm glad that he agrees that the effort that we are doing, actually, it's not an effort. We're just enjoying it, honestly.
Mhm.
But this these moments that we spend together, I think they are very important in initiating a process. I'm sure we're not probably initiating. There are others who are doing it as well. But let's continue with it, because this world needs these initiatives. And he's right that there's a lot of common between Muslims and Jews, and this commonality has to be highlighted. And one of the things that I want to say before I pass it on to you, Dr. Rana, is that I've always felt, and this is something that has come from a traditional Muslim scholar who's said some time ago, and I said, my goodness, you can find amazing remarks from people you would normally not expect to say them. He said, talking about particularly in Pakistan, the kind of religious divisions that are there, that have given rise to so much of problems, so many problems. He said, I want to tell you one thing. all religious traditions, all religious groups and sects have people who are reasonable, who are moderate, and there are those who are aggressive and who are hawks.
Mm,
Those who are moderate and reasonable and accommodating are far bigger in number.
mm,
But those who are aggressive, the hawks, they somehow come to dominate.
mm,
And I'm telling you, it's a reality.
mm,
And I want to motivate myself by being convinced that there is a vast majority amongst religious people who are a silent majority who really need to have messages like
mm,
these to be encouraged
mhm,
to come forward and let others also know that
mm.
we who don't accept religious extremism and hatred in the name of religion. So I agree with him. I think we should continue with this good effort. Initiated by you, by the way, Dr. Lale. Thank
Yeah,
you very
Dr.
much for
Lal.
this. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Honestly, all praise, glory, thanks be to God, and for both of you for sacrificing your time and energy into doing this. I really appreciate it so much. May God bless you both. I really think it is the most important, one of the most important things we can do right now in the world with everything that's going on is to all just try to get along despite differences with each other, despite different labels and identities, and do good things in the name of God. In the name of religion, let's help each other. Let's pursue justice. Let's promote love and kindness and forgiveness and gratitude and all of the ways of peace which are supposed to bring us all together. What you said about the children of Ishmael and Isaac, that just makes me want to cry. Sometimes I sit down at the dinner table with my children, and at the dinner table they sometimes bicker, and it really, really upsets me. All I want is them to just sit down, we say a blessing on the food, we thank God for for the company, for the food, and we eat and we enjoy together. And that when it is like that, it is often like that. It just melts. It's the nicest thing ever. But when there's bickering, it really upsets me. And God has created this beautiful world for us so we can enjoy it and so we can look after it and look after each other. And I think when we're all fighting and arguing, I think it really displeases our creator, and I don't think Abraham would be impressed to see all of what's happening in the world happening. So if we all love Abraham, our father, we love our creator, we truly love each other as we should, as we're urged to by the books that we say we follow and the religions that we identify with, then we do need to step up and make more effort and prove it with our actions, with our words, and forgive each other, because none of us are perfect. So yeah, and otherwise hatred just brings on more hatred. The few haters amongst these religious groups, they give the religion a bad name, and then we get hate crimes against the ones who are good, and just silently trying to practice their religion. And then you have people who lose faith in God, as you mentioned, and then all sorts of problems emerge because of that, because I think there's so much benefit of obviously believing in a creator, and so much healing which comes with that. So thank you so much, and God bless you both, and
Thank you.
let's think of a topic to do next week, inshallah. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.